Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of GPS Youth Ministry. We're going to do week 4 of our series, How to Be a Quitter. But before we get to that, got to get to a couple announcements first. First, the Polar Plunge. Yes, we are doing the Polar Plunge again this year, but this year is going to be at church. The Special Olympics Polar Plunge Committee has canceled all their big events throughout the state, but they've encouraged everybody to still plunge from home. You can do that if you want, or you can come plunge at church. We're going to buy a couple of inflatable pools. We're going to set them out in the field outside. We're still going to dress up in our fun outfits and do all that. And then we'll have music playing. We'll have the PA system set up, and we'll announce just like they do on the beach. And we'll run and plunge into the pools 2 or 3 at a time, and then then we'll be done. You still have to raise $100 in order to plunge. And that money does go to Special Olympics in Southern Illinois. Matt Rothy and Sammy Newberry from our congregation have both participated in the Special Olympics, and they're the reasons why we do this service project. So if you're interested in doing this, I need to know as soon as possible so we can get your shirt ordered. We will wear team t-shirts that we'll buy, don't worry about that. The church is usually pretty good about making our donations, but you also have to register online. I've put the link in GroupMe. I'll put it again in GroupMe. It's also on our Facebook page. Get on there and join the GPS Youth Ministry team, and then you share it on your Facebook and all that. Hopefully people will donate towards your account, because like I said, you have to raise $100. Everybody has to be ready, signed, sealed, delivered, registered, all their money collected and everything by February 21st. So don't wait till then, because like I said, we have to order shirts a couple weeks before that. So we're going to need to know as soon as possible if you're going to participate. All right, so there's Polar Plunge. We are going to plunge on Saturday, February 27th at noon at church. Ignite. We are going to start on March 7th. Not really sure how it's going to look yet, but we got to pick a date to at least start. We will have our music picked out and copies for everybody, CDs or some sort of digital link for you. We'll have all that figured out. We'll have registration forms and all that stuff by March 7th. Not sure if we're going to be in person at that time, or just start to distribute the materials so you can start practicing. Not sure yet, but we have a start date of March 7th. We have all kinds of things in mind for the summer. Not sure we're going to be able to go church to church every Sunday and sing. We are going to try to plan a couple of outdoor performances. We are also going to try to do Branson, which is outdoors. So there still will be something. We are also going to have a recording session during the summer where we're going to record our whole thing, video record all of it. So big things planned. So if you want to be part of the Ignite Youth Choir, you got to let us know that too. That'll also be on the Ignite GroupMe and the Ignite Facebook page. So look for more information on those two things. And spread the word on both of those. Friends are welcome to come. If you want friends to participate in Ignite or the Polar Plunge, that's okay. They have to raise $100. But make sure they also get registered on our team. Okay, so how to be a quitter. 4 things to quit in the new year. Remember, first week we had quit making excuses. Then we had quit. Do you remember? What was week 2? Last week was quit complaining. And this week is quit comparing. What was week 2 though? I forget. Susan and Dude drawing a blank, so am I. I'll think of it later. All right, but week 4, this is our final week in this series, and it's quit comparing. How many of you have heard the phrase, keeping up with the Joneses? I don't think, 2. I'm not sure people say it anymore as much as they used to, but it used to be the Joneses were the ones that set the standard. They had all the newest things, all the latest, greatest items. They were the ideal family. They had the ideal careers, made good grades, all that kind of stuff. The Joneses set the standard, and everybody else was trying to keep up with them. That's how that phrase came about, keeping up with the Joneses. But does having what others have really make us happy? That's what we're going to examine tonight. We get into a trap of comparison. And a lot of times people will say, oh, you're comparing apples to oranges. You know what that means, right? You're not making a similar comparison. You're comparing two different things. Even when you're comparing apples, you could be comparing two different kinds of apples, red and green. They're not under the same thing. So we get into a trap of comparison. We're always constantly measuring ourselves by what other people have and by who other people are. What are some things we tend to compare? Great question. We tend to compare our possessions, the homes we live in, the clothes we wear, the phones we have or don't have, the money we have or don't have, and the cars we drive, or in some of your cases, the cars your parents drive or have or don't have. So we compare our possessions, the things we have. We also compare our appearances, our hairstyles, our body shapes, our eyebrow shapes, and of course, tattoos and piercings. Why are you laughing at? You laughing at the eyebrow shapes?
I'm laughing at the body shapes.
The body shape. Oh yeah. Or tattoos and piercings. People will compare their tattoos to other people's tattoos, or they have them and I don't, or piercings and all that. We tend to make judgments and comparisons on our appearances, our performance, the jobs we have. As those of you in middle school don't have jobs, but maybe the things you do, the tasks you do at home, the chores you have, so those kinds of things. Or the awards you win, or the trophies you win, or any kind of prizes or accolades that you might achieve. The grades you earn. We tend to compare the grades we earn and the relationships that we're in. Oh, you don't have a boyfriend? Ah, loser. We do that all the time. Am I right? Don't look at me like that. We do. Circumstances. Our health. We compare our health. We compare our busyness. How many times have you overheard your parents, maybe you say, hey, how are things going? Oh, I am so busy. That's what this is. We compare our busyness. Or if somebody will come say to you, hey, I have choir and cheer and dance and driving and all that this week. Oh, you think that's a lot? Wait till you see what I have. We do that all the time. And our family structures. We compare siblings, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc. There is something in each of us that wants to know we're good enough, pretty enough, or smart enough. We have a desire to be told we are accepted and loved. Therefore, we compare. We tend to think that the people that have the best stuff, or the newest stuff, or the ideal situations are also the most liked or the most popular. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it is. But we compare ourselves to those kinds of people, the Joneses, if you will. Comparison isn't new. Moses told God, I can't be the guy. I don't even talk right. And yet, what did Moses do? Look it up. Peter measured himself up against his fellow disciple John, constantly thinking, oh, John's doing this and John's doing that, and comparing his achievements to what John, the favorite, was doing. God hated it then, and he hates it now. Why? Because comparison is the death of self-contentment. If you're constantly comparing yourself, to other people and what they have or don't have and what you don't have, then you're never content with what you'd have or who you are. So you can't truly be happy. You're constantly looking for something else. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12 says, "We do not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some who commend themselves. When they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are not wise." That means only dummies compare themselves, basically. It's okay to admire someone or something. It's okay when you compare, let's back up. It's okay to admire someone or something. It's okay to say, oh, they have nice hair. Well, that's a nice car that they drive. Or that's a pretty house they live in. That's okay. But it's when you compare them or what they have to yourself and your situation and wish for it that it becomes an issue. You guys all heard of the 10 Commandments, right? What's the 10th commandment? It comes in Exodus 20:17. "You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, his ox or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor." What's covet mean? That means obsess over, wish that you had. It's in the 10 Commandments. We compare ourselves all the time. It's in the 10 Commandments to say, don't do that. Why? Because it's the death of self-contentment. You're constantly always trying to get something that you are not. Be someone you're not. Get something you don't have. So when we begin to resent them, we resent that God placed goodness in others. Oh, of course she has the newest outfit. Oh, of course they got a new phone. Don't we do that all the time? God has blessed them, so then we resent them. We resent God has blessed them. We then begin to ignore God's blessing in our own lives. You know, all those things that we do for those people I just said. Of course, you got the newest outfit, that kind of stuff. You know how many people are doing it for you? Guys, we have seen people down at Morningstar when we go down and serve the homeless people. They have all of their possessions with them. Right? They would love to have the stuff that you have. They would love to not have to worry about food and clothing and shelter. We don't worry about that stuff, yet we're really not happy with what we have. We wish we had bigger houses and nicer cars and the newest phones. Yet there are people that wish that they had what we have. So it's a never-ending cycle of not being content with what you have. When we resent others for what they have and resent God's blessing on their lives, then we forget about the blessing that God has put in our lives. So why do we do it? What do we do? Two things. Know what you have and know who you are. Philippians 4:11 through 13. "I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength." You guys remember from last week, those of you that watched it, who wrote Philippians? Paul, right? And where was Paul when he wrote this? He was in prison. And yet, he was pleased with what he had. Even in prison, he found the positives and the blessings, and was thankful for the blessings that God had placed in his life. Paul wrote that he had learned to be content whatever the circumstances. He learned the secret of being content. He was happy with what he had. Ephesians 2, verse 10 says, "For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for us to do." God created you in his image for a specific purpose. He made you just how you wanted, or how he wanted you to be. If we're busy comparing ourselves to the others around us, we will never become who God has called us to be in the purest form. Guys, God has blessed us with what he wants to bless us with. He's made us how he wants us. We are formed in his image. He has his plan for us. But if we're constantly looking for other things, then we're trying to be somebody that God does not want us to be. Are you getting that? You catching that? All right. George MacDonald's a 19th century author and minister, and he wrote, "I would rather be what God chose to make me than the most glorious creature that I could think of. For to have been thought about, born in God's thought, and then made by God, is the dearest, grandest, and most precious thing in all thinking." Guys, the ultimate creator had a plan for us. He created us. He gave us blessings. And we kind of take it for granted. Don't we? Right? So we've got to be content with what God has blessed us with and who we are. God made us. It's not our job to question God. All right. Remember, you are loved. You are accepted. You are the child of God. You are a member of Christ's body. You are complete in Jesus Christ. You are chosen by God, holy and dearly loved. You are God's workmanship. In knowing who you are, you know who you don't have to be. You only have to be yourselves. That's all God asks us to be. Don't covet what other people have. Don't wish you were somebody different. Don't wish you had what other people have. Be happy with what you have. Be content with what you have and who you are. That's who God made you. That's how God made you. All right, so here are our questions for this week. Before I get to them, we have our week 1 winner was Aaron. So Aaron, you still got to claim your $20 gift card. You got to let me know what you want. Week 2 was Macy. And Macy wants the Amazon gift card, the $20 Amazon gift card. So congratulations, Macy. We'll get that to you. And then week 3, Alyssa Knight, you are a week 3's winner. She was in the middle of taking a drink. So week 3 is Alyssa Knight. So Alyssa, let me know which $20 gift card you want. If you need a reminder of what we still have, let me know. So we'll get that to you. Okay, so here are the questions for this week. What are some of your, supposed to be an R there, what are some of your most common comparisons? So what do you find yourself comparing to other people most often? Does that make sense? All right. How do you feel when you compare yourself or what you have to others? So first of all, what do you compare? And then 2, how do you feel when you compare? Usually we feel like we don't have enough, or we're not good enough, we're not smart enough or pretty enough. So how do you feel when you compare yourself? What are some blessings God has given you that you're thankful for? And then in what ways did God create you to be unique? What makes you, you? That's how we want that question. All right, so that's this week's question. I'll post these on GroupMe separately. Answer them on GroupMe. You can text me or email me or whatever you want. If you guys got anything, let me know. So in person, we'll talk about meeting in person before I go. We are tentatively looking at February 21st. Our church council has decided to, even though the state is kind of, or the state and the conference have opened up to meet a little bit, to just kind of hold off for a few more weeks until We have a plan in place and we know it's safe to come back. So we have tentatively scheduled February 21st to start in-person worship. So we're going to schedule that same day for in-person GPS to start back up. So again, tentative, it's penciled in. So we'll still be online for the next series. Next series starts next week. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we'll still do this for a couple more weeks and then be back in person. Guys, if you need anything, let us know. Get registered for Polar Plunge and let us know if you're going to be part of Ignite. All right, love you guys. Blessings.